Welcome to Heroes Rising, hosted by Sifu Rafael, a master instructor, public speaker, and the founder of Speaking Prowess. Known for his expertise in empowering individuals through the art of communication and leadership. Alongside him is co-host Jose Escobar, an acclaimed personal development speaker, 18-time published author, and founder of 2 thriving businesses, including the Connected Leaders Academy. Together, they bring you dynamic conversations with world-class entrepreneurs, industry icons, and visionaries. Heroes Rising is your go-to source for wisdom, motivation, and unstoppable growth. Join us and discover the hero within you.
Good morning. Actually, good afternoon, gentlemen. Look at me. Good morning. Where am I?
Good afternoon.
Yes. I want to give a big shout out to Jose. I know he's not feeling well. Otherwise, he'd be here with us. Wishing you a speedy recovery, Jose. And what can I say? You will be missed, but I know you're here with us in spirit. Love the topic today, healing the human blueprint. What does that mean? Oh, my goodness. There's so much we can get into. Who's going to take that first?
Well, I would say I let Ashley go first because I'm really interested in hearing about Connected Heart. But I'll just speak just because I talk about this, right? So this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, particularly with the Becoming Human 2.0 movement that I started a couple of years ago. And so it's really about just pulling back the layers on what it is that we, in this human experience, find coherence or find balance in, right? And if we find that coherence and find balance, then we're able to experience life the way that it was imagined for us, or that we imagined for ourselves, to our potential. And it's usually the things that and I'll call it 5 pillars, right? Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and I would say transcendentally, where we have imbalance or incoherence in those spaces, we don't really reach our full potential, but it's all within our power to do so. And of course, I think that many of us that talk about this probably talk about it similarly, but differently, right? But it all comes back to the same essence of what we're here meant to do, right? And it's less about purpose and more about what we're called to do, and finding the way to serve and to our highest capacity. And so I'm really interested in hearing what Ashley's take is on that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so everybody has the capacity to be their most authentic self.
I'm just going to say, Ashley, your volume is a little low. It was higher before, so I don't know if you can get closer to the mic or whatnot.
Okay, how's that?
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
So yeah, everybody has the capacity to be able to become their most authentic self, their highest version of themselves. And then there's stories that get in the way, stories from our past. Quite often it starts in early childhood, but it could be from other things. And it stops people from being able to allow the energy through themselves and to become the person that they want to be. So someone struggling with anxiety or depression, their energy is being condensed and crunched into a part of their body because they don't feel safe. And by repetitively doing that, a lot of people then cause chronic illness within their body. The whole body comes under stress. So I help people to be able to work out where their story is in their system, whether it's in their heart or their gut or their throat, and to be able to kind of neurologically cleanse it and get it out of the way. If someone's walking around their whole life with a story of I'm not good enough, which is a very, very common thread of a story, whilst they might try to prove that they are good enough, it's almost like the power of the I'm not good enough story, because it's been going on for decades. It kind of drives their thoughts, feelings and behaviors, and that's the world that they then get reflected back to them. So I take someone to the core of that story, to the core of their neurological stories that are getting in the way, and we move through them by getting their brains to go into gamma waves and be able to cohere this thing to be able to steer the human being in the direction it wants to go.
Love that. Love that. When I think blueprint, I've drawn thousands upon thousands of architectural drawings, right? I used to do architectural drawings and so forth. And it all starts with putting something down on paper. And there's modifications left and right. And we use erasers too, would you believe it? Because nothing is perfect, right? So we would maybe put up a wall, and then somebody comes over, goes, oh, that wall needs to be moved. So we have to erase it, put it over here, and move it there, add a window, add a door, add different fire alarms. All these different things have to go into putting this whole game plan together. And even after the building has gone up, after the walls have gone up, modifications continue to happen. Maybe not on the exterior, but on the interior. So I see healing the human blueprint as an actual structure that has to continue to change and manifest in a way so that it can really keep up with the times. Think about all the plumbing, all the electrical, even in the Empire State Building. I'm in New York. And when you come in, and even handicapped stalls, all these little different things that were never there before, now there's bandwidth. There's all these different things. Back in the day, there was telephone wires. Now it's different. So all that has to be abandoned, and the new things have to come in. So when we think about the human blueprint, we got to think of it as evolving, keeping up with the times. Right? So that's how I see blueprint, right? When I see a blueprint, I think, structurally it needs to be sound, but it also has to be kept up.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be put into not only focus, but it has to be built.
Yeah.
Because blueprint is good, but without the construction, what do we have?
That's right.
Yeah.
My
and that's where a lot of people can get stuck. You have to create, as you say, a blueprint, a design, a structure, a path, and then you have to go on that path, get over obstacles potentially that are thrown in your way to step forward and become more of the human that you're willing to find inside. But yes, without the structure and the direction, then people can end up swirling around, not knowing how to get there. And it's really important. If we're talking about emotional stuff, it's really important. Like, structure is a very masculine thing, but it has to become in balance with the weave and the flow of the feminine. And I'm not just talking about men and women. I'm talking about that within all of us.
Well, think about the electrical stimuli, right? It's going to be hard if you go into a dark building. So that's the brain, right? That's what lets you see what's in there. Even though a building is solid, it's concrete or it's brick or it's whatever, it's still a living thing. And so when we think about our brain, we need to continually turn on the switch, turn off the switch, turn on the switch, turn off the switch. We need to give it that stimulus, if you will, right? So that it can grow, so that it can keep evolving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which brain are you talking about, Sifu? I say to the people that I work with, there's over 40,000 neurons in the heart, and they do a very specific job. That's like a brain in itself. It's very different to what goes on up here. And again, the brain, as they say, in the gut, it's they're doing different jobs. And as a human being, are we attuning to them and listening to them, trusting them?
Yeah. So you would say the heart, mind, you say the heart, brain, gut system, right? The whole axis is the brain. And I mean, and if you really get into some of the research, particularly the research that the Heart Math Institute does, they will say the brain's throughout the entire body, because every cell, there's neurons in every cell of the body, and all those cells have memory of the experiences that we have. So if you're experiencing like an anxiety that you were talking about earlier, right, and it's going on for a long time, I mean, not only do you have chronic anxiety, but every cell in your body remembers exactly what that is. Your pinky toe knows what it is. Your pinky finger knows what that is. Just like if you experience joy, then all the cells in your entire body do, And that's not just woo-woo stuff. That's, that's stuff that's been, come out of research, particularly at NIH and Candace Pert's work, right, back in the early to late 90s, before she passed. But, they found out that there were messenger neurons in every cell of the body. And so when you experience an emotional state, you experience it everywhere, right? And that's important to kind of, when you wrap your head around that, it's like, wow. So when I'm angry, my big toe is angry. Yeah. And so is your toenail. Right. So it's quite fascinating.
And it's also impacting all of the other living things, or all of the other everything around you.
100%. It's contagious, right? And I mean, and energetically, because that what we put out into the field impacts everything. And even if we're not standing next to each other, I mean, they can measure that too, right? What's it called, a magnetometer? They can measure the impact of the emotions that we have on the magnetic field. And I think right now they can measure it out between 6 to 10 feet. It's probably further than that. But we can at least measure, quantify that. And so, just imagine the power of someone walking into a room with all that heavy energy, and then the other people in the room getting impacted by that directly. I mean, those are things that I've talked about in the past, and it's fascinating when people actually experience it and see it. Then they realize, then there's realization that you can change it.
And one fascinating thing that happened to a lot of us is we would experience something energetically as a child. Like we walk into the room maybe, and there'd be an argument in the room. Child just clocks it straight away and says, "Is everything okay?" And what do the people in the room say?
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
But that's a lie. And so then the child then has to go through a confusion of, well, I felt this, I'm told that's not true, so I can't trust this thing that's trying to tell me what's going on in the field. I have to shut that down. Don't listen to that.
Yep.
Fascinating.
Yeah, you're talking about the human condition. We do that. I wouldn't say purposefully, but in some regards, it is maybe unintentionally, but we shut those systems down, and we don't learn how to trust our own intuition, right? And the things that we feel. And then when we talk about it as adults, we get looked at like we're crazy.
I got to tell you, my big toe has not been, or my little toe has not been mad in centuries. Because I don't allow that emotion into my body. I don't allow it to my big toe, my little toe, my belly button, my ear, my nose, none of it. I don't allow that emotion. I would rather say I get disappointed than angry. Because if I get angry, then somebody's taking my power away. And hey, guess what? I want to keep my power. Right? I want to keep that electricity inside. I don't want to give it away because I need it to sustain me. And think about the human body. It renews itself every 10 years, fully, full skin, all your organs, everything. And it is incredibly crazy for somebody to say, yeah, I'm the same. I haven't changed. You change every day. You just don't realize it. So if we have the potential to really have a new body every 10 years, shouldn't we think about that? What I'm living in now is evolving, it's changing, and it's either it's dying or it's growing. Right? So there's no in between. Right? So right now, I'm at the birth of the new me. Right? Every 10 years, think about it. I'm at my birth. It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people that have near-death experiences then experience their life like they're so lucky to be alive every single morning, and every sunrise they see and every view and everything, they're like, boom, wow. And they fill their system with the feeling of awe. Now, if we look at most people that haven't had a near-death experience, how much of their day do they feel awe, or week, or month? And it's a very energizing feeling. It kind of resets us from a health point of view. It starts to dump chemistry into our system if we're in states of awe for a prolonged period of time. So yeah, for everybody listening, I invite you to maybe give that some thought, and then maybe see if you can bring some feelings of awe into your life again. We're so conditioned to, once we've seen something once, then we're not amazed by it. But we are literally surrounded by beauty and amazement everywhere we go. If we choose to look at it in that way.
Yeah,
absolutely. Think of somebody who here's a thought, right? If I gave you $100, I said, here's $100. You go, why did you give it to me? I felt like it. You're gonna feel good, right? A minute later, I give you another $100. You're gonna go, ooh, I like this. But every minute I give you another $100, another $100. Don't get me wrong, you're going to love me, right? But the excitement is no longer there. It's now expected. And so the level of excitement from the first 100 to the 1,000 has changed because you became used to it. So we forget to enjoy every second, every minute, because we've gotten used to it. When we see somebody that we've known, let's say your spouse, your partner, you come home and you go, hey, how you doing? Instead of like, oh my God, it's so amazing to see you again. Well, let me give you a hug and a kiss or whatever it is. But we lose that because we become complacent. We become kind of dead a little bit. I don't do that. Every time I'm with my fiance or I see her, I'm like, whew, nice to see you. I'm so blessed. And so she'll feel that, because sometimes she'll be sitting next to me. I'll just look it over and she'll go, why are you looking at me? I said, because I'm appreciating you. She goes, I appreciate you too. I said, no, don't say it because I said it. Say it when you feel it. So, okay. Then there was another day and she's looking at me now. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm like, oh, look at that. It's working, right? Because sometimes we forget what we have right in front of us. And sometimes we look in the mirror and all we're doing is just, we're combing our hair or shaving or putting our eyeliner or our makeup or whatever. But we're not seeing that which is in front of us, which is a beautiful soul, a beautiful person. And so we take ourselves for granted. And I think the healing of the human blueprint is never take yourself for granted, but be amazed every time you're in your own presence.
Yeah. I did a talk one time. This must have been maybe 2 years ago. And I was talking about who stole the dream, right? Was the theme of the conversation. And when you look at life through a child's eye, right? And the one example that really comes to mind is like go to the park one day with a kid. Go to the park that you've been to probably about 1,000 times. That child will find something new about that park and something amazing that they haven't every single time you go, right? And sometimes it's one of those things that you didn't even realize was there until you just happened to be paying attention to what the child was excited about. But it brings you back to that old adage, stop and smell the roses, right? And we, as you said, life, as people say, life is lifing, right? We get the different responsibilities and all the different things that come with that. We live in a very interesting world. Things are moving faster than the speed of thought. And we have information at our fingertips. And so we don't see the moments that are right in front of us sometimes, that are the most important moments that we can experience. And as we get older, right, we begin to focus on the experiences because we sometimes get that realization. Not everybody, but sometimes many of us do get the realization that, it's the experience that really matters. It's the quality of the time that we're spending together. We could look at the different statistics out there, and we understand that human beings only live for a certain period of time in this existence. Well, a lot of times we spend our time worrying about all the things in the future and being upset about the things that happened in the past. Never really focusing on the present moment until something happens, and then we get snapped into it, like a near-death experience or an accident or a health crisis or something happens, right? And then suddenly we have to pay attention to right now. Because what's important right now, because now suddenly I want to live. And that really is the message. Don't wait for that to happen. Live, right? Heal the blueprint, right? And I say sometimes healing the blueprint is just, how would a child see this? Man, I just want the wonder and awe and the joy that that is genuine with most children, unless something has happened. But the genuine awe, the joy, and just connected to everything. And then we get older and we kind of lose that. So it's reconnecting back to it, right? And adapting, ourselves to think more like children.
It's interesting that you say, like, look through the eyes of children, and Sifu, you were saying that we replenish ourselves, within 10 years. But there's a couple of things that don't. We've still got the same eyes that we were born with. And I think there's something in the liver or the kidney. I'm not too sure about the other bits, but this is the bit I was interested in, because a lot of my therapy is direct eye contact whilst the person's slowing down what they say and connecting to the vibrations of their heart or their gut whilst they say it. And as they say, these things are like the gateway to the soul. And in some ways they really are, because if you look someone deep in the eye and you slow your breathing down, if someone lies, both people know it instantly. You can't lie if you're looking someone right in the eye. They can feel it.
They can feel it. That's right. They can feel it.
This is why it's best to look at somebody in the eyes when you're telling them something that's going to impact them, especially if it hurts.
Especially if it's going to hurt.
The truth sometimes does hurt, right?
Sometimes the truth.
They don't want to hear it, right?
Well, that's where your intention comes from, right? What's the intention behind why you're sharing the information? If the intention is out of love and appreciation or concern or care, right? The message doesn't hurt as much as it would if it was coming from a different place.
Yeah.
Or they're hearing it from someone else, right? So there's a little bit of that. But I was thinking about when you were talking about, just the adapting piece, right? We evolve and we adapt to things that change. It brought me back to a definition of resilience that I once that I shared. I used to share often because I was doing this program on resilience, and it was more about the biophysiology and the energetics of resilience. So kind of going back to what you were talking about, Ashley, about things being certain frequencies in our emotional states. And many people, when they think of the word resilience, they will say, well, that's, the ability to bounce back, or to be, be like a rubber band or something like that, or be perseverant. And those are kind of qualities, right? But resilience is really about the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress, challenge, and adversity. And two things that are really important about that definition is that it's about capacity. Some days we have more capacity than other days, right? We spend energy doing things and we recharge sometimes, and that gives us more energy to deal with situations. And the interesting part is that we spend more time paying attention to how we recharge our technology and not how we recharge ourselves. And those drains happen with the things that we think about, or from the past, or how we think about ourselves right now. We have about 70,000 thoughts per day, between 40 and 70, depending on what neuroscientist you talk to. And they're typically the same thoughts every single day. And so that thought, if I'm not good enough, is repeated 40,000 times to 70,000 times per day. You're digging a trench as deep as the Grand Canyon, as far as your neural pathways are concerned. And it takes a lot to divert the water in the Grand Canyon. So imagine what it's going to take to divert the thoughts of someone when they're chronically thinking that they're not good enough. You have to go back, and it takes effort, and it's not just one time or one thing. It's a process, and so we have to figure out how to find that coherence, the coherence in all that, right? Where's the balance come from? How do we shift the energy? How do we shift what we believe? I mean, those things can be changed, but we have to, well, number one, not only become aware of it, but accept that we have the power to change it, right? And then there's the action, right? So there's the adapting piece. Like, we have a blueprint. The blueprint is the human system, right? And then things impact that human system and make us feel one way or another. What are you doing to alter the blueprints or alter the situation so you can get back to the original foundation of the blueprint, which is really about coherence? That is our natural state, coherence. Okay. But we allow all the other things in the world to impact that.
Love that. Love that. Let me share this with you, and then we'll come right back.
You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today.
You need better. That's all you need.
You just need better. I love it.
Yeah. So think about one of the things that was in that commercial was reset, right? And so many people don't realize that sometimes that's all they need. They need that reset button. Look, and you talked about it, Paul. You said that we charge our devices, right? Look, I have mine being charged, right? But we don't charge ourselves. And that's our reset. We get a chance every single day to be better, to be someone better than we were yesterday. This is why anybody asks me anytime, is how are you? I say exceptional and getting better every single day. Because what did I do? I charged myself. I didn't plug myself in literally, but mentally I'm charging myself. This is why sleep is one of the most important aspects of it as well, to reset myself so that when I wake up in the morning, I have a game plan so that I can heal. I can heal the mistakes that I did yesterday, because guess what? I made a lot of them. And today I'm going to make some more. And I don't excuse my mistakes. I learn from them. If I hurt anybody along the way, yes, I'm going to apologize. But my intention was never to hurt anyone. And don't get me wrong, some people get hurt no matter what. You walk in the room, they're hurt. But so it's because you're not aligning with the energy that you talked about earlier, that they'll walk into a room, like you said, I think it was you, Ashley, they walk into a room and they don't feel the energy. That's correct, right? Because maybe you're not putting out the energy, the correct energy, right? For that balance that happens in life. So resetting ourselves, it's a daily occurrence, because tomorrow I have to reset myself again, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. And the day I think I don't have to reset myself, that's when I'm going to go downhill.
and the reset around sleep is really important. Our sleep habits, like the health around 20 minutes before we go to bed and 20 minutes when we wake up in the morning, depending on how you manage that and the thoughts and your behaviors, can then influence your entire day or your entire sleep cycles. What a lot of people are doing before they go to sleep is they're on some sort of device, or they're ruminating something that's doing their head in, because as soon as they turn the device off, then the brain starts going round and round in circles. So yeah, our reset is very, very essential. We can't get good sleep if our brain is full of clutter, or we've been carrying around stories all day, or being reminded of that we're not lovable, or we're not good enough, or that we're not worthy, or that we can't trust ourselves, or those core messaging. If that's been coming up through the day, it's not processed and put down and let go before we go to sleep, we're going to be dreaming about that stuff and have a chaotic sleep, and then wake up exhausted and then do it all over again. I did that for decades. It doesn't really work very well.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And I think, the other part of that too is, and many people, will ask us, well, how do you know if you're getting great sleep? Or I get my 9 or 10, I go to bed at 10 o'clock and I wake up at 8. So I must be getting, 10 hours of sleep. And it's like, what's the quality of your sleep? And those things come down to, our ability to kind of measure and track, and I think a lot of times when people hear that, they don't like to hear it, because that means I have to do something technical, like track it. And it's like, well, you can't change it if you don't measure it, right? It's really difficult to change something you're not measuring. Many of us know, if we did a poll of people that were watching this show right now and said, how many of you are getting great sleep? Maybe a handful of people, hands would go up. And how many of you know that you need to get more sleep at night? And a whole room of folks would put their hand up. They're very much aware of it, right? They know they don't get enough sleep, but they don't know what the quality of sleep is, how much they're actually getting. They just know it's not enough, but it's part of life, and I just live with it. But if you track
you may also want to ask who's sleeping now.
Who's sleeping now? Right. And they may not know, eyes wide open, right? And even the measuring part, even when I throw that out there, it's not so much the measuring. The measuring just increases the awareness. It backs it up, it gives you data, right? You still got to take the data seriously. Then you have to figure out, what am I going to do about it? Because you can have all the data in the world, but if you're not willing to address it and change it potentially, then you will keep getting what you've been getting, until you get to the point where you want to change it and you are fully committed to doing so. And it really just comes down to taking one step, towards whatever that goal is. And so I throw that out there because I think a lot of times especially when we have conversations around reset can be done so many different ways. I mean, reset could be exercising. Yeah, you're going to deplete doing the actual workout, but then you get that burst of energy afterwards, right? That's a reset. Taking 5 minutes and just breathing, that's a reset. Going in the garden is a reset. Walking outside and standing in the sunlight is a reset. Meditation is a reset. Prayer is a reset. These are things that eating is a reset, if you're eating, a certain way. So there's lots of things we could be doing to reset, but people just forget. Sometimes I think we just, like I said, life gets in the way. I mean, it's life. Those things are resetting, and we should be more intentional about it. Like for me, for one thing I do is that when I'm in my calendar, I build in all my resets. I build a reset after every single time I have a conversation with someone. I build 30 minutes in. And that's probably one of the things that saved my sanity and kept me as a calm, cool, collective person, when things get, seem to get chaotic and blow up in our faces sometimes. And, I'm pretty much even keeled, but I can tell you, I can attribute that to building and reset throughout my day, right? Not waiting for sleep, because everything that happened in the day could have a significant impact on my sleep. So maybe I should be more intentional about how do I want to go to bed? And maybe I need to manage things throughout the day so that when I go to bed, I don't have it all stacked up on my shoulders trying to figure out how I'm going to manage this thing. I got 20 minutes to do the right thing. And you know what? I'm really tired, so maybe I'm not gonna remember to put down the phone. I'm not gonna remember to get off the computer. I'm not gonna remember to do this meditation. And then I set myself up for failure that night. Right.
Yeah.
So I try to prepare for it. But how do you prepare for it to
Oof.
recharge?
I got to tell you, one of the things that I've been doing for years now is I wear a eye mask when I go to sleep, so there's no external things hurting my eyes. Even if your eyes are closed and you have any light in your room, it's still coming through. So I protect my eyes, right? And then the intention is, this is going to work anyway. Why don't I put it to work? Why don't I give it instructions, right? It's like anything in life. If you get something new, and we all do it, we get a new phone, we get a new computer, we get a new this. We think we know everything about it, and we just dive in. We don't read the instructions. Yet later on, we didn't realize all the potential that's in that device or that piece of equipment because we didn't read the instructions. So my brain has only the instructions that it listened to all day long from all different sources. So I'm going to cut that all out and say, don't listen to that. These are the instructions you need for tonight while you're sleeping. Do the right thing. Do this, do that. Focus on this, so that tomorrow when you wake up, you know exactly what needs to happen, how it's going to happen, and allow everything that you planned for, because your schedule is sacred. Otherwise, somebody else is going to come and disturb that schedule because they're going to hijack you. And so therefore, that's how I go to sleep. Same way, sometimes in the middle of the day, I'll stop, I'll pause, I'll think about what's going to happen or what already happened, and I journal. So one of the pillars that I teach on is journaling, because sometimes it's too much in our head. We need to get it out so we can have space for new stuff to come in that's going to impact. So that's one of the ways I reset. Every day is a new opportunity for growth, for reset, for expansion, if you will.
So I reset hundreds of times a day. I meditate a lot. When I say meditate, what that means for me is I clear my brain of thought and then I do something. And that might just be sitting or lying down, but it might be walking or running. I don't know if anybody's experienced that, but running meditation, I've played with this quite a lot. It was something that Joe Dispenza said about the feeling, the belief that you're limitless. And I just thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I just ran with the absolute belief that I was limitless? And when I did it, my body accelerated to faster than I've been in a long time. And I ran flat out for over a couple of miles. And when I stopped, I wasn't that out of breath. And I was like, whoa, wow. I remember doing lots of jogs in my life, and they felt hard and they felt sludgy, like I was, jogging through sludge. It was because of my belief system, not because of how my body was feeling, which is fascinating. So every night before I go to sleep, 20 minutes of as little thought as possible. And, we can't always stop them, but if they come in and I'm just trying to have a clear brain, then I just let them go. What that does is it coheres the brain into regulated brain waves, which starts to calm the whole system down. It then trains with the heart, and the heart trains with the brain and with the field. And so then we've got our energetic field and our emotional state starting to cohere with our inner coherence. If everybody does that every night for 20 minutes, they'll be setting themselves up some pretty good sleep. But what I found really fascinating is I asked my clients about any of their dreams in their notes before they come for a session. And then when they've stepped through something, the big one is from I'm not good enough to I'm magnificent and I've got me in every way. When someone steps into, they call it like the sovereign archetype. When someone steps into that emotionally, their dreams just shift almost straight away. And they find themselves in their dreams where they're kind of managing something in a balanced way that always would have gone sideways in a dream. And they're like, never believed the dream I had last night, Ash. And it's just so beautiful to hear that archetypal stuff has then come through in their dream state, because they're not the person that's worried that they're going to get taken out or that they're not good enough. They're now the person that's in balance, that can hold themselves. They don't have dreams of being attacked and chased down the street. Fascinating.
It is interesting when you intentionally set yourself up while you're sleeping for success. Because I've been in places where I've been teaching millions of people in my dreams, where I've been impacting so many people that I wake up and like, where did they all go? I was like, it felt so real. And I felt like I was making a difference in somebody's life. That's the kind of intention I go to sleep with, right? How can I help? How can I manipulate myself to be bigger than I even imagined, right? So it's not about look at me, I'm awesome. It's about how awesome can I be to impact others in a positive way. Not that they see me as this guru guy, because some people call me guru and I'm like, some people call me grandmaster. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. I'm still the student. I'm still here to learn. I'm here to get captured in the awesomeness of you. So for me, that's important. That was all.
Absolutely.
I love it.
An interesting thing that I think it was Joe Dispenza started to say, that we, as a human being, we have the capacity to be able to create all the chemistry to keep ourselves fit and well. And the science is starting to prove that. And if everybody comes into coherence within their system and can give themselves these resets, space and time for their brain to stop chattering and all of the noise from the external devices, we can start to literally, whilst in meditation, whilst in calm, start to dump the chemistry inside our systems to make ourselves well again.
100%. Yeah, I should say that we have the biggest pharmacy within. Every time we experience an emotional state, we release about 1,400 different hormones in our system. Right, those hormones can either help our system thrive or can put our system in survival mode. Right, so then the question is, which hormones do you want in your system? I mean, they're all required for one reason or another. I mean, when people talk about those hormones, typically we hear about cortisol, right? And we hear about dopamine, and we hear about norepinephrine, and we hear about all these serotonin. So we hear those type of oxytocin. We hear those hormones, but there's obviously more than just those. But if you are not experiencing things I'll say in a positive way, I hate to even categorize as positive and negative, because emotions are emotions. Some of them deplete us, some of us recharge us, right? Which ones do you want? But if we're having depleting emotions, it's like, sleep deprivation, or it's like, drinking alcohol, right? And it's impairing our system. And impairing our system is not just cognitively, it's impairing our system emotionally, it's impairing us physically, it's impairing us spiritually. And so the more depleting emotions that we have and experiences that we have, the less chance we are going to be successful and realize that potential. But if we were able to put that in neutral, get ourselves in a coherent state, start intentionally creating renewing experiences, then you have the opportunity to put yourself in any state you want to be in. And that's the power that we all have. I mean, that's what Joe Dispenza talks about. That's what a lot of folks out there have been talking about. There's a lot of research now, like I said, out of the HeartMath Institute, but NIH has been doing research. And so universities have been doing research on the same stuff. So it's not like people just talking out of the side of their face, like a lot of times we think that's happening. But there's enough of it there that's making the case that maybe there's something to that. There's something to the things that we call miracles. Maybe they're not miracles. Maybe there's someone just figured out how to get in tune and get coherent, and then things started happening for them. And why try to reinvent the wheel? Why don't you just do what they did and see if it works for you?
It makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Let me share this quick video with you guys. Take a look.
There you go.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
Yeah, so Paul and I are both in the Connected Leaders Academy, and I got to tell you, Paul, it's so much fun, right? When you think
Amazing
about all the connections that we've made, the fact that you and I connected because of it, I'm just
Me
thrilled.
too. Me too. That's how I knew you.
See that? Because of Connected Leaders Academy, everything happens for a reason, including the way we heal our human blueprint, if you will, our essence. I think every day we have that choice, right? How do we heal? And you talked about earlier sleep. You talked about eating, the foods we choose. And the way I choose my food, I choose it as medicine. So, and if we think about food, whole food is probably the best food. And any food that's processed, and how do we determine if a food is processed? The minute a person touches the food and changes the dynamic of it, it's been changed. It's no longer whole food. Take an apple. An apple is a whole food. Make apple pie. It's been changed. It's no longer good for you. It may taste good. Yum, yum. Who doesn't want some apple pie, right? We live in America. Well, some of us do, Ashley, just saying. And it's called American pie, or apple pie in America. And what winds up happening is because we have believed that it's good for you, we should have it because, hey, it's made with apples. I remember, I forget which comedian said it, but he was feeding his kid cake for breakfast. And his wife came down and she goes, "What are you crazy? What are you doing?" He goes, "What do you mean? It's a healthy breakfast. It's cake." He goes, "Wait a minute. It's made with eggs. It's made with this. It's made with milk. So it's healthy." And she goes, "No, you don't get it. It becomes unhealthy." So think of it, right? Whole food, when man or woman touches it and changes it from what it's supposed to be, it becomes unhealthy. So how do we eat? With intention or just because we think we're hungry?
That's a whole nother topic.
Huge other topic, for sure.
That's a whole nother topic. I
But
tell
that's
people
healing the human blueprint, right? It's how we feed it.
100%.
I got an interesting bit of research that was done. They had 6 groups of rabbits and they fed them the most disgusting stuff to see what would happen to them across 6 sets of rabbits. One set of rabbits was fine. The other 5 sets were really, really not okay. And they couldn't work out because it was a straight test, all the same conditions. They couldn't work out what had happened. I heard this on the internet last year. The 6th set of rabbits, one guy that was on a night shift, I think, when he finished on the 6th set, he would then sit there and he'd just stroke them whilst they were eating. He'd stay there for an hour, just stroking them, giving them love. They were the only rabbits that got love. All of the rest of them didn't. And so whilst it is really important, the food that we put in our bodies, what's actually really important is that we love ourselves or that we give and receive love. That will actually make our systems run a whole lot healthier. Yeah, and if you do eat what you call bad food, then the worst thing you can do is beat yourself up for eating the bad food.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. 100%. You're describing the failure to thrive syndrome, or at least the foundations of that. and that's that need for connection and belonging, right? We'll call it love, but connection, love, belonging. And obviously that experiment with rabbits, that holds true. Human beings holds true too. That research was done back in the 30s and 40s with orphanages. And so, yeah, interesting thing to think about what we feed ourselves with. And so here's the food aspects. I try to stay in the space where I stay on the perimeter of the store if I'm going to get it, or go to the market. At least maybe there's some comfort in knowing that someone at least grew the food, hopefully not with too many pesticides and things of that nature. But everybody's not going to be strict and regimented. So it is part of that, forgive yourself. Let some things go if you don't, adhere to your strict regimen. But we should be eating the things that make us feel good, and that doesn't mean eat a whole bunch of sugar, right? Because sugar doesn't, while it might be an instantaneous thing in the moment, it's not going to make you feel good in the end. And so there is some of that. So, but put ourselves around people that feed us, give us good energy, that will, prevent us from stepping on landmines. Sometimes they'll tell us the hard things that we don't want to hear, but we need to hear, because those things that we feed ourselves, feed our mind, feed ourselves emotionally, feed our body, those are part of the whole. That's part of the whole thing with keeping the whole blueprint healthy. And so we had to be intentional about that. And so it is fascinating to talk about it and look at it more holistically. If I look at it from a more of an integrated perspective, step back away from it, because I think that many people feel like they just don't have time to do it. Actually, what you're talking about is really great. I just don't have time for it. I just don't have time to do it. 20 minutes, man. I got to figure out what I got to do 20 minutes before I sleep. I mean, that's a lot of time. I'm missing out on Bridgerton, or I'm missing out on Stranger Things, or whatever the thing is that I'm watching, and I got to watch it to the end. But it's like, well, yeah, but when you look around and look at the state of health, right, and you start looking at the different diseases that are prominent, and that are the top causes of death, if you will, in the human system. You look at the top 4, and most of the diseases and autoimmune situations that we experience are due to our inability to either recognize or manage or adapt to the stressors of life. And those are typically the root cause of that. And those stressors are caused by our beliefs, past experiences, memories, fear of the future, all those things. And so when we're living in an incoherent system, our system begins to entrain incoherently. So it is something that we have to pay attention to, because the coherence piece, as much as I know you talk about it and I talk about it too, as much as we talk about it, that's where people are missing it. We got to get more coherent, balanced, get in sync, balance the hormonal system with the autonomic nervous system, with the nervous system in general. In tune your heart and brain and gut. Make the system work together versus against one another. Because until we do that, then we're just living in these incoherent spaces, trying to get coherent, get incoherent again, and not really kind of understanding the way the system functions. So I'd love that we bring in the conversation about the heart, because the heart, in my mind, is really the center of all of it. It is the first part of the human body that develops, right? It's the first part. The heart develops before the brain. Brain can live, the brain can't live without the heart. No blood, brain dies. You don't need a brain for the heart to keep pumping. Isn't that amazing, right? So when we think about the physiology and the biology of that, heart is at the center of all this thing. And so how do you bring heart into the conversation of the blueprint?
You have to have heart. You
So
have
you were,
to have
you were
heart.
talking about looking in the mirror earlier, and what do you see and what do you feel? How many people look in the mirror and feel like they love themselves? And I'm not talking about being vain. I'm talking about, oh, yeah, I actually really like you. You're a nice guy.
Mm.
How often does people spend in their life feeling like they're not loved and they're not appreciated?
Mm-hmm.
What that does is create like a dissonance in the system, and an internal stress. And no organism is designed to be under constant stress, but humans have kind of habituated a multitude of different ways to put themselves under internal stress, and then something will break. It's inevitable, right? We are not designed to be under stress. So, you know, some religions, you know, they aim for like inner peace, and that's great. You know, most of the time, if someone's in a state of inner peace, they're going to be pretty healthy and happy. But higher states of that, like absolute joy, serenity, bliss, then the human being really starts to achieve some wonderful things and is very, very fit and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's when people allow outside sources to affect their inner world. And so when we look at love, we only feel love when someone else tells us they love us, or they share something, or they hug us, or they do something that's nice for us. But we forget that the most important love that we need every single day comes from the inside. It's very hard to love someone else if you don't love yourself, because what you're doing is you're putting a want instead of a giving, right? So if we can love ourselves first, we can love others. But if we don't love ourselves or even like ourselves, how can we actually like someone? We're lying. We're just a bunch of liars out there saying, yeah, I love you, I like you. Meanwhile, I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, you know. So, and you're right. It's not about being vain. It's about seeing past the skeleton, past the skin, but looking into that heart and saying, I love you.
And the way that quantum physics works is it's not that seeing is then believing, it's that believing is then seeing. So if I love myself, then from a vibrational point of view, I will be bringing that towards me. If I don't love myself, then there might be some people out there that say they love me, but energetically, we won't be very connected. But when I actually love myself, then it's almost like I open the doorway for people to love me back and to truly accept me as I am, because I finally accepted me as I am.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we have to remember is that as long as you love yourself, who cares who loves you? And you can walk into a room and you can have 10 people say, man, I love that guy. And you can have 3 or 4 or 5 of them say, I hate that guy. Those are not the important people in your life, because they don't align with you, because they don't matter anyway. And I'm being honest. I mean, listen, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I'm okay with that. Right? Not everybody's going to love me and, oh, I want to be with Sifu Rafael. No. I got tons of people who are like, where's the biggest bat so I can hit this guy with it, right? And then I have other people who just want to, you know, hug me and say, I love you. But it's the way I show up for me first that's going to determine my day. So this is what I talked about earlier. I have anything in my body hasn't been angry for decades. Right? Because I don't allow negativity to enter. So I can walk into a room, everybody goes, boo. And I'm like, woohoo for me. Woo, I love me. I don't care how many people say boo to me. That's okay. Maybe they think my name is Boo. That's cool. I'm okay with that, right? But let me share one last video before we log off. Take a look.
The city never sleeps. And neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds, a movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience, mastermind, where purpose is found.
Every time I hear it, I can't help myself. I gotta move. I gotta move with it.
I was
So
getting
if
excited.
you're interested, join us in Tampa. It's really easy. 516-242-8732, or just go to sifurafael.com/NYC. I got to tell you, Paul, we're going to have such a blast in Tampa. Thank you for helping us out. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for sponsoring the event. If you want to sponsor, Paul's sponsoring. Paul, why are you sponsoring anyway?
Why am I sponsoring? That's good. No, that's a great question. No, so when you get behind a movement, you know, I was sharing something a couple weeks ago about being in the room and being in the right room, right? And when you are surrounded by individuals, and we'll say like-minded individuals, but I say like-minded, and the vision is the same, right? Those folks that want to make a difference, want to make an impact. You have the, I'm not going to say the brightest minds, because it's not just about the brightest minds. It's the best minds. It's the most innovative minds. It's the most creative minds out there coming together in one movement to do something big, to make an impact. And if you have an opportunity to be in that room, then you have a responsibility. You almost owe it to yourself to be there. And, you know, when I moved to Tampa 6 months ago, the one thing that I was looking at doing was, who are the folks that I need to be connected to? Who are those individuals? Because you are who you surround yourself around and with. And so sponsoring this that's a no-brainer. The minds and the people that are coming together, the experiences alone, just connecting with individuals that have a big message, not just a story. I mean, we all have stories, and we can all be inspirational. This is not about inspiration. This is it's about taking action, and making a difference, paying things forward, reaching back, if you will, too, right? So it's all of it's involved. And so it's the opportunity to be in the room. For me, it was an opportunity to be in the room and also contribute in a big way. And so thank you for calling that out. Thank you, my brother, for extending me the opportunity. And I look forward to everyone that's going to be here at the end of February. And if you're not here, then you need to be here.
Find a way, right? Winners find a way. So Paul, we're going to wrap it up. So you have about 45 seconds. Why should somebody connect with you? And your website is going across the bottom, right? You can tell everybody what your website is in case they're listening. And also, why should they connect with you?
Awesome. So Paul McFadden here. I'm the CEO of Evolve Human Potential. You can see it on the bottom of the screen. If you can't, it's www.evolve, spelled out, humanpotential.co, not .com. So .co. So basically, I work at the intersection of leadership, of ancient wisdom, and science, and which makes it kind of fascinating, because there's a lot going on in that comment. But when you start thinking about how those things are in synchronicity with one another, it becomes a beautiful thing. And I typically or potentially help leaders get aligned when they find themselves at an inflection point. And when I talk about alignment, I'm really talking about coherence. And those are one and the same. And so if you're looking to be more aligned, or be in more in a state of coherence, to heal your human blueprint, or even your leadership blueprint, it's all the same thing in many respects, then I would certainly invite you to connect with me, have an alignment conversation. Let's do an audit. Let's figure out where things might be misaligned and get you back in a state of alignment and claim the leadership chair, the seat, if you will, that you're meant to have. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate you, brother. And everybody, make sure you connect with Paul. Ashley, I'd love to know about you and what everybody can expect when they connect with you. Thank you for coming all the way from the UK, and I'm sure your arms are a little bit tired from all this flying that you did to come and join us. But man, I am so blessed that you did. Tell us what somebody can expect when they connect with you.
So you mentioned flying. There's a lot of flying ahead for me this year. I'm dotting all over the place. So yeah, I created the one-to-one therapy, which helps people with pretty much any emotional issue, but most, if not all, chronic illness issues. We're still doing the research. We don't know how far this can help people, but it's very fast and very, very effective. So it's helping a lot of people in a cool way, just coming to the core neurology and shifting it and moving past it. And once someone realizes they can change like a deep core thing inside an inner core neurology issue, they can start stepping through and making massive changes in all the inner conflicts. I translated that into a workshop last year, so I can hold like a group of people doing it. It's not so personalized, but it is very, very effective. And so this year I'm training people in Italy and Jamaica. I give this to as many people as I can, because it's like a set of bolt-on tools. Like when you know how to hold someone through a neurological shift and put them into gamma waves, that's a massive therapy tool to have in the belt. So I'm super excited about that, and to help heal humanity, which is my drive.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Do me a favor, just mention your website, just in case somebody's listening to it in their car when they're at the gym or whatnot.
Sure. So I'm in the UK, so it's .co.uk. It's connectedheart.co.uk. And we connect this to this to this, everything shifts.
Yeah. So when you say this, this, and this, if I'm listening to it, what is this that you're pointing to?
Heart, gut, mind, access, but not forgetting the hips and the throat. There's so much in this to be able to speak our truth, to be fluid and stable. They're not just words, they're inner belief systems that affect our structure, our biology, our health, everything.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm Sifu Rafael. What can I say? I have an incredible new program. It's called, here's my website. You go to Sifu Rafael, SIFURAFAEL.com/command. It's a new program. It's how you command your vessel every single day. So every day you're going to get an order, a command that you can do right away, and then just forget it because you've done it, right? And it's something that's really inspirational for me. It will change the way you think and the way you act. It's a command that you can do every single day. And if you miss a day, no worries. There's always another command tomorrow. So don't live in regret. Live in your future. Live in the present so you can create a better future. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You guys are exceptional. Everybody, do me a favor. Somebody may need to listen to this podcast. Share it with somebody. Somebody needs to listen. There's so many takeaways from this show. So which one is yours? You can always click on and hit replay if you watched it, and then just let us know what your thoughts are. Thank you, everybody. You guys, God bless. Have a blessed and beautiful rest of your day.
Take care, everyone.